Right, okay, let's just take you around what we've done so far. We've given it one coat, and as you can see it's drying off now. It dries off a bit lighter, sorry, it dries off darker than when it first goes on. As you can see, the bonnet is halfway through its drying process. The front valance, as you can see, I don't know if you can actually see that, that's dried nice and flat. So that's gone on okay. Looking all around it. Don't forget this is only the first coat, so try to get an even coat all the way around. As you can see, the bonnet is drying off now. I'm just letting it dry naturally. So there is a temptation to, when you've got the spray gun in your hand, just to keep going over it, but you have to hold that temptation back, because too many thick coats at this stage I'm sure would ruin it. So it's thin coats rather than thick coats. So I'll let that dry and then I'll show you it all dry, and then we'll go on and put the second coat on. Okay everybody, I've actually given it now three coats of the base coat, water base coat. Now I've had the heat lamp on it just drying it off, so I'm now going to apply the first coat of gloss. So here we go. That's the first coat on. We'll let that dry before, or just tack off before we do the second coat. Right. This is the actual first coat of gloss just gone on. So okay, it's got a few little bits and pieces in it, little bugs and that, which you're going to get working outside, but you can get them out in the later stage. As I say, you're not looking for a total gloss finish. It'll be a little bit patchy at the moment, which you can probably see. But when you apply the second coat, you should see a big difference with regards to the finish, and that's what I'm going to apply now. I've waited basically 10 to 15 minutes to get to this stage, so the paint is still tacky, but it's not obviously wet as such. So that's what the manufacturers say for this paint, and that's what I'm going to do now, is apply the second coat of gloss. Right, here's the last coat on. That's 3 coats of lacquer, and there's quite a few bits of fluff and dust in there, which you're going to get if you spray outside. For example, there's a little thing there just crawled. Can you see that? Where is it? Yeah. There's obviously other bits of dust and bugs on there. There's one there. But that's not to be worried about, because that'll all come out when you wet sand it with 1500 or 2000 and then go for the polish. The whole reason why you've got to put 3 good coats on is for this reason. When you're spraying outside, when you haven't got a spray booth, is to cut back the surface of the paint and get rid of all them little imperfections. But as you can see, the finish is a high gloss finish now, and we're going to just let this paint go off overnight, and we'll come back and have a look at it tomorrow, and it should be ready for cutting back then. So I'm just going to leave the heat lamp on it now while I just pack up the tools. I had a little look around it, as I say, but I can't see any runs. But there is a big temptation when you're doing this and you get stuff in the gloss to pick it out as you go along. That's the worst thing you can do. You'll be surprised how easy they do come out once you've let it go off and actually sand them out with some 1500 wet and dry paper. Okay, here we are. I've done exactly the same to the back of the car as I've done to the front of the car, so the procedure I went through there is exactly the same, and as you can see, it's had its 3 coats of undercoat and 3 coats of top coat, and I'm just drying it off now with the heat lamp. I'm doing half an hour each panel basically. Now, as I said to you before, one of the biggest problems you're going to get when you're working outside, no matter how careful you are, is things landing in the paint or gloss. Now let me just try and show you this one here. This one, can we zoom in on that? I can't really see if you can see it all that well. Well, there's a little fella there who's literally had a very good walk around and left a lovely little trail there in the lacquer. Now again, you don't bother trying picking it out, you're just going to have to leave that and you watch what will happen. That will all come out in the sanding process. I know it might look pretty serious now, but don't worry about that. As I said to you, provided you've got enough lacquer on there, you'll get that out in the sanding. So we've just left him as he is to dry hard. But as you can see, we've got a nice shine. We've got the factory orange peel, as you can see, which you expect. But all in all, it's not come out too bad. So all I've got to do now, which I'll do tomorrow, I'll do the 2 doors, is this side and the other side. The front of the car now, as you know, is all been resprayed. It's just full of dust and I've not touched it at all, just leaving that till all the car's actually sprayed, and then we'll go over them. We'll sand and buff it. But all in all, it's looking pretty good. Well pleased with it. So you can do this sort of stuff outside. You've just got to be a bit careful. I mean, what I could have done there is to actually drop some plastic sheets all the way around this carport here, and that would have stopped stuff coming in. But again, I'm showing you what you're possibly going to come up against. Don't panic too much. As you can see, there's a nice shine developed with the lacquer. But as I say, if you do go around, you'll see certain bugs in it. All come out in the sanding process, I'm hoping. So that's what we're up to at the moment. So what I'll do, I'll show you the finished job then, just before we colour sand and buff it, and you can see what to expect. Alright, here we go. What I've done now is I've actually decided to spray the bottoms of the doors and also the bottoms of the wings. I wasn't too happy with the colour match because it's obviously been repainted at some stage. The back has actually turned out lovely now, and as you can see, the colour match to this rear bumper here, which wasn't painted, is very, very good colour match. So I just decided that I would actually spray the bottoms of the doors. As you can see there, it's a mottled sort of finish. It's that sort of chip card. And also the front of the wings, which I didn't spray, I was just going to leave them. I've actually rubbed them down, and as I say, I've masked up to where I've actually sprayed, and removed the trim and the the door handles rather, and the wing mirrors, which will be sprayed separately. So masked up now. All I've got to do now is to go over it with a wax and grease remover. I've rubbed it all down with 500 wet and dry paper, wet sanded it, and then I'll go over it with a tack cloth. I'll wet the floor down again, and then I'm ready for spraying. So as you can see, this is the last part of the actual red that I should need to spray, and we've virtually done the whole car. The only bit we haven't actually resprayed, and I'm not too sure yet whether I'm going to need to, because I'll wait to see what the buffing comes up like. I might have to respray that. Is the bottom half of the front valance. That would be the only part I didn't respray, well, on the front of the car anyway. The back of the car, as you know, I didn't actually spray the bumper. So yeah, it's looking good.